Barcelona had a dazzling start to the season, seemingly unstoppable. Under the guidance of coach Hansi Flick, the Catalan team won 11 of their first 12 matches in La Liga, creating a 9-point gap with Real Madrid and a 10-point gap with Atletico Madrid. The victories were not just results but also demonstrated a tactical gameplay, strong and continuous pressing from the start, and especially a boldly advanced defense. People looked at Barca and sensed the revival of a force, a young but enthusiastic and effective team. The biggest highline of the early season was Flick's highline defense system. This is a tactic where the defense always pushes high near the midfield, using offside traps to reduce pressure on the lower lines. In the first 12 matches, Barca caught their opponents offside an average of almost 7 times per game, a record not only in La Liga but also across Europe. The 4-0 victory against Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabéu was the clearest demonstration. They forced speed stars like Mbappé and Vinicius Jr. into offside traps time and time again, extinguishing all hope for the royal team. The success of this system was not only due to the defense but also the synchronous pressing from the front lines. Young players such as Pedri, Gavi, and Band always played with high intensity, not hesitating to close in and steal the ball from the opponent's half. This not only helped Barca defend well but also created sharp counterattacks, taking advantage of opponents' gaps to score goals. It was a new Barca, quicker, more direct, and more effective. However, the big question here is whether this bold style of play is sustainable. When everything is new, and opponents have not adapted, Barca seems truly unbeatable. But football is a game of adjustment. Will Flick maintain his system in the face of increasing pressure? Or will this just be a booming start that quickly fades away? The answer probably lies in the difficult road ahead. November turned into a nightmare for Barcelona as their form plummeted. After a brilliant unbeaten streak, Hansi Flick's team has only earned 5 points in their last 6 matches in La Liga. It's worth noting that opponents such as Real Sociedad, Celta Vigo, Las Palmas, and Leganés have found ways to fully exploit Barca's advanced defensive system. Instead of direct confrontation, they play long balls, using runs from the second line to overcome the risky defense of the Catalan team. The consecutive losses not only exposed the loopholes in tactics but also highlighted issues with fitness. The intensity of pressing decreased, and the gaps between the lines widened, making it easy for opponents to exploit space. Flick admitted that his team had lost the connection between offense and defense. This is not only a tactical issue but also related to the mentality and depth of the squad. If they do not change in time, Barca risks letting the whole season slip out of their grasp. Barcelona's issues. Barcelona is not only facing tactical issues at the moment but also a series of deeper problems with their squad and operations. First, there's the disconnect between the lines. Hansi Flick has admitted this. The attack no longer effectively supports the defense, and the defense is too easily exploited when opponents escape the first layer of pressing. This is an inevitable consequence of the reduced intensity of play. Barca's young team, though talented, cannot maintain their endurance throughout the season, especially with the dense schedule. Another factor that cannot be overlooked is the shallowness of the squad's depth. Looking at the numbers, 10 Barca players have played more than 1,500 minutes since the beginning of the season. This is an extremely high number, especially since this team has to carry the burden of both La Liga and the Champions League. Key players like Alejandro Bald, Pedri, and Jules Koundé are almost completely exhausted. Meanwhile, the reserve players are not used regularly, or when given the opportunity, they have not met expectations. For example, names like Eric Garcia or Sergi Roberto do not inspire confidence when they come onto the field. A clear example of this issue is the loss against Atletico Madrid. Alejandro Bald, who was assigned to defend the left flank, was no longer strong enough to keep up with his opponent in the final minutes. As a result, he allowed Molina to break free, passing the ball to Sorloth to score the decisive goal. Bald played the entire match, while Molina came on from the bench. This is a clear difference between the two teams. Atletico has depth and uses it effectively, while Barca does not. Additionally, the form of some key players is also a problem. Lewandowski, despite having 23 goals since the beginning of the season, has been silent in recent important matches. He missed a clear chance in the match against Atletico, and this slump has caused Barca to lose an important anchor in attack. Lamine Yamal, a bright young talent, has also been out due to injury, Statistics show that Barca has not won any matches in La Liga when Yamal is not in the starting lineup. This raises a big question about the dependency on such a young player. Regarding tactics, Flick remains consistent with his high-line system, but clearly, it is not as effective as it was at the beginning of the season. In the first 12 matches, Barca caught opponents offside an average of nearly 7 times per game. But in the last 6 matches, this number has dropped to 5.83. This is not only a technical issue, but also a sign that opponents have found ways to counter Barca. They exploit the gaps behind the defense with long balls. They utilize accurate passes from the second line. This approach has continuously caused difficulties for Barca, leading to a series of avoidable goals. It is impossible not to mention the mentality of the players. The confidence from the beginning of the season has significantly decreased after the poor run of matches. When they win, they impose their playing style, but when they encounter difficulties, they become indecisive. This further makes the pressing and high-line style of play more vulnerable. In addition, Flick does not seem to have found a reasonable way to rotate the squad to maintain freshness, especially in the context of a grueling schedule. So what are the solutions for Barca here? Perhaps Flick needs to accept that the high-line style of play cannot be maintained in every match, especially when facing strong counter-attacking opponents. Tactical flexibility will be key. The team needs a plan B, such as a more defensive system when necessary. In addition, the effective use of younger forces or reserve players is also very important. Do not forget that Barca still has many talents like Fermin Lopez or Marc Casado, who can bring freshness if given the opportunity. Key players in decline. Barcelona is not only facing problems with tactics or fitness, but also serious issues with the spirit and form of their key players. The decline in performance is evident. But what worries fans more is how this team reacts in adversity. A Barca at the beginning of the season filled with confidence and vitality now becomes indecisive and easily shaken under pressure. This is not only reflected in the losses or late goals conceded, but also in their playing attitude. The players look tired both physically and mentally, and this is pulling them back from themselves. Take Lewandowski as an example. Someone who used to be an unstoppable goal-scoring machine now lacks sharpness in crucial situations. Although he still has an impressive total number of goals, his form in recent matches, especially against strong opponents, has declined. He missed important opportunities, such as in the loss to Atletico Madrid, and this has caused Barca to lose a major anchor in attack. Not only Lewandowski, other stars like Pedri and Gavi no longer maintain their explosiveness. And when Lamine Yamal is unable to play, the team's creativity almost disappears. It is worrying that Barca has not won any matches in La Liga when Yamal is not in the starting lineup. This shows that the team is too dependent on a young player, which is not sustainable. The fitness issue cannot be overlooked. The tight schedule and the fact that Flick cannot rotate the squad reasonably is pushing key players to the point of exhaustion. Alejandro Balde, one of the best players at the beginning of the season, is no longer strong enough to maintain form for 90 minutes. This was clearly shown when he could not contain Molina in the loss against Atletico, leading to the decisive goal. Other young players such as Gavi or Kound also have to carry too much responsibility without rest. Meanwhile, reserve players such as Eric Garcia and Ferran Torres are not good enough to replace them when needed. In addition, Flick has not yet found a way to refresh the team tactically. Barca's high line was once a powerful weapon, but now it is becoming a double-edged sword. Opponents are no longer surprised and have found ways to exploit the loopholes in this system. Furthermore, the lack of flexibility in approaching matches also makes Barca easy to read. Flick needs to admit that not every match can apply high pressing and a defense that pushes close to the midfield. A more flexible tactical change when facing different opponents is necessary if Barca wants to escape the crisis. However, all is not yet over. Barca is still second in La Liga and still has a chance to go far in the Champions League. The important thing now is timely adjustments. Flick needs to inspire his players and help them regain their lost confidence. He also needs to trust in younger or reserve players more, because they are factors that can make a difference in difficult times. Barcelona is still a team full of potential, but to turn that potential into real success, they need more than just a bold advanced defensive system. They need depth, flexibility, and an even more enduring fighting spirit. The season is long, and everything is still within reach if Barca is willing to change and move forward.